Right. Welcome back to the Roaming Thoughts podcast. I'm your host, Colt, and today I am trying something new because I catch myself when I listen to podcasts. And I never thought I'd be this way. I've turned into the person that watches my podcasts. So, not my own podcast, but when I listen to other podcasts, I'm not just listening to the audio, I'm literally watching them normally on like YouTube or something. So, this episode is going to be the first episode that is actually going to be on YouTube as well. So you can still find the podcast here on Anchor, or if you're listening through Spotify, that's still there. But I do have a YouTube channel, and it has probably been one of the most inconsistently used sources of social media that I have. I know this last episode that we had was back from, I think, December 22nd. Yeah, so December 22nd, we had the Christmas movie characters who would win in a fight. And so we are, what, 9/24 date. We're almost a month since that last episode. So if I'm telling you that my YouTube channel is inconsistently utilized, who knows? Maybe it will be now the birthplace for consistent podcast episode updates. But you can just search. I suppose I'll have to change my YouTube channel again. I've changed it, at least the title, a couple times, and right now it's just my first name, last name. But I think I'll change it back to the Roman Colt. Originally, when I started the channel, it was one of those things that it was going to be solely travel videos, right? And one thing that I learned about myself is that if I'm just going to restrict it to only travel videos, then there's times where I want to create videos or content for something, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that because, it's a travel channel. Why bother posting things about my other interests, right? And that's kind of really what this podcast was intended for, was to be the outlet for literally all of my random thoughts. But who knows? I'm going to upload this podcast episode to my YouTube channel. We'll see. I have 17 subscribers on there. So thank you to all 17 of you. I appreciate every single one of you. But yeah, so that kind of leads me into just kind of going over where you can find me on social media, right? So we've got the podcast. I do it through Anchor, which is a platform through Spotify. So I'm on Anchor. Podcast is also on Spotify. And you guys can find me on Twitter at the Roman Colt. Pretty straightforward. And we're going to jump into Twitter when we get into this podcast here, but a couple other things I do just want to throw out. My actual travel blog, it's called theromancolt.com. I actually updated it recently. I do have a new article that's going to be coming out hopefully in the coming days here. Again, that's pretty sporadic with when I get posts up there, but I've always loved writing, and it's fun to be able to go back to this blog and just do posts. So yeah, the most recent post there was best airports to sleep at, and that was back from before Thanksgiving. So I'll tell you now, the new post coming up is the worst airports to sleep at. So yeah, feel free to check it out. I did update it. I had the color, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I had the color of the Roman Colt for quite a while. I updated it to like this mint green color, and I don't know, I just got the idea and I changed it all, changed the color all to kind of like a monotone gray, because I think it's kind of cool. It's very just like, here are the words, here's the articles. I'm not going to get fancy with much else. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about the new look, quote, new look Roman Colt website. But so, all right, we're already 5 minutes in, and you're probably wondering what is this episode going to be about? To be honest with you guys, I don't even know what the title of this episode is right now, because with this being the Roaming Thoughts, it's going to be quite random. But I'll tell you the structure for this episode, okay? I was on Twitter. I'm a huge Mavericks fan, and I was I came across this tweet, and it was from Casey Vitelli. And Casey Vitelli, he's at Casey Vitelli on Twitter. And his heading is host of All in the Details. He's co-founder of NBA Uni Tracker on Twitter. But he's a graphic designer, likes to design NBA jerseys. He's also a videographer. But the reason I mentioned him is because he had a tweet the other day, and it was designing uniforms in 1, 5, and 10 minutes. And I saw on his picture, he had a picture of a Mavericks jersey. So I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I got to see this. Like 1, 5, 10 minutes. Okay, it's going to be a 20-minute video. Cool. Sure enough, I went to it, and that's exactly what he did. He took 3 different NBA teams and spent 1 minute designing a jersey, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes. And I just thought that was like the coolest idea ever. So Casey, I'm going to steal this idea from you, but I hope you don't mind. So what I'm going to do today is I've got my hat, and I've got 10 random topics of things that I like to talk about, think about, stuff that crosses my mind. So what I'm going to do, oops, forgot one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw them out and basically see what I'm going to talk about and see how long I'm going to talk about it for. So we are going to do a 1, 5, 10 minute challenge about just talking about random topics. So yeah, let's get started. I think what I'll do is I'll draw one, and then I'll put the minutes in there to see how long I'm going to talk about it. So, all right. Topic is going to be the NBA. All right, that's cool. I'll draw all 3 topics, and then I'll see which I'm going to talk about for how long. So, NBA, cryptos, so cryptocurrency, and politics. All right, NBA, cryptocurrency, and politics. All right, now let's see how long I'm going to talk about them for. So we'll draw first for the NBA. Again, remember, it's 1, 5, or 10 minutes. So I'm going to talk about the NBA for 5 minutes. This is actually making me quite nervous because I don't know how knowledgeable I am on cryptos, and I don't know if I could actually talk about them for 10 minutes, but here we go. Cryptos is going to be 1 minute, and politics. I'm going to talk politics for 10 minutes here. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it in that order. It's a 1, 5, 10 minute challenge, but I guess I'll be doing mine in 5, 1, and then 10 minute challenge. So we're going NBA, cryptos, and politics. We will start right now, 5 minutes with the NBA. Yeah, so for me, if you're listening to this here on Saturday, what is it, January 15th, my favorite team is Dallas Mavericks, okay? I've already gotten into that, but the Memphis Grizzlies have always been a team that I'm not going to say I liked, but I genuinely wouldn't root against them. And this has been for like a long time, like ever since really when San Antonio was at its height, like of dominance, that like they won 3 championships in 5 years or something like that, or I don't know, Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Tony Parker, all those guys. I had a soft spot for the Memphis Grizzlies, and I don't know what it was about the Grizzlies, but I enjoyed that they were not my favorite thing about the Grizzlies was that they were not the Spurs, but they played like them. They were very hard-nosed, and I just appreciate them. And fast forward to, like, I don't know, 15 years later now, I've been huge fans of their like navy blue, baby blue like color ways, and their jerseys. Like, I'm just a fan. And then you throw in Ja Morant, and I think Ja Morant's an awesome player. But anyway, so he's been leading the Grizzlies to like a 10 or an 11 game win streak, and they shot up in the Western Conference standings. He recently overtook Luka Doncic in the All-Star starting spot in the latest like tally of votes. And I am proud to say that the Mavericks beat them and ended their streak yesterday. I don't really know where I'm going with that, but for me, it's cool to see players like in a small market like that rise to like the spotlight, I guess. And it's even better for me, or even cooler for me, to see Luka, who has not been in the best condition this season and coming back from like health and safety protocols, to basically play an okay game. And the Mavs still beat the Grizzlies by like, it was like 30 or something. I think it was like 123 to 85 or something. But yeah, our defense has been insane. We beat the Bulls, we beat the Warriors, both number one seeds in their conference. I don't know. I'm stoked. Trade deadline's coming up. At least trade talks are starting to ramp up, and they're thinking like, oh, the Mavs might be players for John Collins in Atlanta or Miles Turner in Indiana. And I feel like I have this Maverick fan like shell shock or something, because we always talk about, as Mavs fans, I don't know if anybody else can relate. If you're an NBA fan but you're not in a big market, maybe you can relate. But as a Mavericks fan, you get your hopes up all the time that you're going to get the next big star, or we're going to make a splash in the trade market. But honestly, what happens is when it starts to become a reality and you look at the pieces that we have to send out in order to receive good players in a trade, we get to a point, at least I know I do, like where I'm like, well, okay, it's that close. And then you're like, no, I can't give up these players. And I'm thinking of Dorian Finney-Smith and Jalen Brunson, because like they have developed so well with the Mavs that now they're actually worth something on the open market. And I'm thinking about, well, geez, do we really want Miles Turner, John Collins? Because I don't want to give up either of those guys. But yeah, I'd give up Tim Hardaway Jr. Depending on how long Kristaps is going to be out. Like, I don't know. But again, I got to look at this. I'm like 20 seconds left into the NBA. So all I'll say is Westbrook and Anthony Davis aren't going to win LeBron a championship. And Giannis is still an absolute beast. And that is right at our 5-minute mark. So now we're going to do 1 minute of cryptos. 1 minute of cryptos starting now. I'll say this. When I was writing these topics down and I had cryptos down, the first thing that came to my mind was how annoyed I am with Ethereum, because I purchased Ethereum, I don't even know, like a couple months ago. I feel it was like my first batch of Ethereum. I got Ethereum, and since then, all it has done has lost me money. I think I spent like $20 on Ethereum. Okay, so I'm not afraid to just tell you guys, like, it's not that much money. Okay, I'm not like throwing thousands into it. But what annoys me is I think my Ethereum now is worth like $16.75. So it's been really frustrating, because out of cryptocurrencies that are out there, Ethereum is the one that I value the most, or trust the most, or feel the best about. And so it's been really annoying that it's the one that's lost me the most money so far. But yeah, that was 1 minute on crypto. And now we're going to move into 10 minutes on politics. Okay. So for the record, I had different categories. Like I said, I had 10 categories put together, and one of the categories was government. Okay. So there was government and politics. So before I really dive into politics for 10 minutes, what I want to do is distinguish what I mean between government and politics. So government, I'm talking about sitting governments. Okay, so for the United States, it would be the Biden administration. So had I got government, I was going to talk specifically about our current administration, or the people in power right now. So those in the Senate, those in the House. But politics, this is something different. I'm going to just quickly Google a definition here. definition of politics: the activities associated with the governance of a country or area, especially the debate between parties having power. Okay, so the activities basically between political groups, political sides, powers, things of that nature. Okay, well, with that being defined, let's talk politics. Something that's kind of come up in the news recently is, you know, part of politics is international politics, and something that's come up that I find I'm skeptical of, and I'll just have to write down how many minutes we get to talk about this. So 14 to 24. Okay. It's what's going on in the Ukraine right now. So essentially, NATO doesn't want Russia meddling in the Ukraine, being involved in the Ukraine, having a presence in or near the Ukraine. And what's come out recently is that, how did this work? The United States, I believe is the CIA, has knowledge that Russia is going to initiate, quote, a false flag conflict in order to justify basically getting directly involved with Ukraine. And if you're not familiar with like what that term actually means, essentially it's just like saying that you might see a conflict start and it looks as if it's from country A, but realistically country B set it up to make it look like that. Okay, so really what came out in the news, I think it was just yesterday, maybe it was 2 days ago, I saw it on like BBC and CNN, and I think even Fox too. But what came out is basically where the US intelligence is saying that Russia is going to start a conflict under a false flag, and that's going to give them a reason to get involved. Okay, so who knows what the false flag is going to be? Let's just say it is Belarus. Okay, let's say that it's going to look as if Belarus is getting involved in the Ukraine and Russia is going to step in to take care of it or handle it, right? And then obviously in response to that, the US is then going to get involved, NATO will get involved, and I think we're going to see something come from that if it actually happens. But when I was reading it, all I could think was, okay, if you know what false flag is, and it's basically a country saying that another country was behind something, but even though it didn't look like it, all I got in my head when I was reading those articles was that, like, who's to say, and again, I'm a proud American, I love my country, but who's to say the United States isn't putting out that narrative to create their own false flag? Okay, and that might enrage people, but like, they might say, oh, how can you say you're a proud American if you could say, just think about it, right? I mean, like, think about what a false flag is, okay? So if the United States is saying that Ukraine is going to, for whatever reason, okay, they're saying false flag. The US is saying we have reason to believe that that Russia is going to get involved directly with the Ukraine, and XYZ happens, okay? Could that not also be the US establishing a narrative of a false flag for then the US to get involved in Ukraine? Like, I don't know if this is an easy thought process for you guys to follow, because not because I'm questioning your intelligence, but because I'm questioning my own like ability to synthesize this thought into coherent words. But like, I don't know. United States is saying United States is saying Russia is going to operate a false flag operative to thrust themselves into the Ukraine. But again, when you read that, you just think critically, okay? it's so easy nowadays for people to just like read a headline or just read an article and take it at face value. But think about what you're reading and what it's saying, right? And if they're talking about manipulation or lies, okay, it can be true for both sides of the story. All right. We're never going to know. I don't think we're ever going to know if Russia does some false flag business or the US has done false flag business, like over this whole Ukraine situation. We're not going to find out. But it's just like my biggest thought right now going on with politics. Like, this is international politics at work, like the actions that opposing sides are taking to basically push their own agenda. And I don't know. I think that it is, I just wonder if there's anybody else out there, especially Americans. I just wonder if there's anyone else out there that came across that news and like it even slipped into their head at all. Like, this technically could be a false flag action by the US too. But I don't know. Tell me what you think. Politics. We have 2.5 minutes left on politics, spending 10 minutes talking about politics. Let me see here. I guess when you look at, well, it's 2022, so we're going to have our midterm election here in the US. And I saw that President Biden's approval rating, according to whatever poll, I don't know, there's a billion polls out there, but this is the lowest. They basically showed the results of his like last like 6 approval polls, and like his rating has gone down steadily. I think it started at like 48% and now it was down to like 32% or something like that. And then I saw another article that said President Biden has the lowest approval rating of any president within their first year. And now we're coming into the midterm elections, and I don't think that is going to be good for the Democratic Party. I think Republicans are going to be wildly successful in, you know, when the ballots are all counted. And that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. Politics, again, something that popped into my head was Andrew Yang. He started this, the Forward Party. He dropped his affiliation with the Democratic Party and he started the Forward Party, which, you know, go ahead and research their platform and you know what they're fighting for. But it's interesting. I saw a podcast, I think it was a podcast that he was on, talking about you know, Biden and Trump, and it's just interesting to hear somebody that tries to look at things outside of the 2-party political system. And I don't know, to me that's refreshing because I don't think we should be trapped in a 2-party system. But that's how politics have been in the US for essentially the existence of our country. Yeah, George Washington, I think maybe Thomas Jefferson said, you guys, political parties are a horrible idea. And I don't really know anybody that can honestly say that they disagree with that. But politics, it's interesting when either party comes into power after the opposing side had served for so long, and to see what their approach is and how they take ownership of it. But that's going to be a hard stop there. Politics for 10 minutes. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think it was fun to do this, you know, NBA 5 minutes, cryptos for 1 minute, and politics for 10 minutes. I'll say this. It was difficult for me as I was writing my topics down that I'm like, oh, I think I might want to talk about that. It was really fun because I've really only picked ones that like I genuinely wanted to talk about. But then when you put the time limit on it, it kind of makes it weird because I'm sitting here trying to think of like, okay, do I need to come up with more to talk about, or can I just like freely talk about this stuff? So that's kind of a weird twist on it, as opposed to just saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a 30-minute podcast today. We're gonna talk about NBA, cryptos, and politics. giving them each their own designated amount of time was kind of interesting. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. I think I'm going to do this again. I've got more topics, so why not give it a shot? If you guys absolutely hate it, let me know. Again, you guys can find Roaming Thoughts podcast here on Anchor, anchor.fm/Colt-Mavity. Feel free to check out my travel site, theromancolt.com. And of course, my YouTube channel as well. And then on Spotify, it's the Roaming Thoughts podcast. And yeah, check me out on Twitter. Again, I would love if like Twitter was the place where if you had a comment or you had anything to say or feedback on the podcast, I'd be so stoked if you guys went to my Twitter account there because I don't know. I love Twitter. I think it's awesome. And it's just a cool place to share ideas and get feedback. So yeah, check me out there, the Roaming Colt on Twitter. Let me know what you guys think. You can comment. I guess you can comment on the YouTube video now too, because we're gonna have this thing uploaded. I'm very curious to see what that's like. So yeah, until next time, I guess I will stop rambling and I'll go think of more roaming thoughts to have. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. And until next time, I'm your host, Colt, with the Roaming Thoughts podcast.